Hey everyone, it's me, Vinny Lospinuso again, and it took me a few days to say this because I've been lamenting and mulling over the fact that Black Panther is no longer with us. Chadwick Boseman, the actor mostly known for Black Panther and 42, Get On Up, and many others, has now passed at the age of 43 from colon cancer after contracting it for 4 years. Me just saying that it just doesn't feel real. It just makes me feel like I've lost hope. A superhero is dead. A member of the Avengers is dead. Jackie Robinson is dead. Floyd Little, Thurgood Marshall, James Brown. He's dead. Because with Chadwick Boseman, he was an actor, but he was the black icon of my generation. He was. Denzel, Will Smith, Samuel L. Jackson, they were around, but they started before my time. Their prime was before my time. Chadwick Boseman's prime was during my time. His peak, his career, happened in the length that I've been alive on this planet. His impact, his message, was all around when I was in high school and college. And even before that in middle school, and goes back even further when I was in elementary school. Because when you look at Chadwick Boseman, despite the fact that he contracted colon cancer 4 years prior, he didn't let that define him. He was above that. And despite that, he played Black Panther in several other roles like 21 Bridges, The Five Bloods, and he became their superhero. The black superhero became their superhero. And although you had Blade and you even had Steel back in the day, none of them even came close to the impact or cultural significance of Black Panther, the very first superhero movie to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. No other MCU film had that. And no other comic book movie up to that point had that either. The Dark Knight never had that. The Raimi trilogy never had that. No other MCU film had that. No other comic book movies ever had that. And even though you had Joker the year later, Black Panther was the very first one to be nominated for Best Picture. It was his movie. He was the main character. And even though he started in Captain America Civil War, his solo film, Black Panther, is the one that got that nomination. I mean, it's important to understand how significant that is, especially when you look at Chadwick Boseman's life. He grew up in South Carolina. He wrote plays when he was in high school after one of his classmates was shot and killed. He went to Howard, a famous HBCU, where, if I recall, I'm just looking right here, Felicia Rashad, I believe, was one of his professors, and Denzel Washington helped pay his tuition to go have a summer program in Oxford. These relationships help affect you for the rest of your life, and Boseman was like that. And even though he appeared in a couple TV shows and some episodes here and there, it wasn't until he was 30 years old where he made his first film appearance in the movie Express when he played Floyd Little. He wasn't the main character, he was the supporting role. Floyd Little, of course, was considered the franchise by the Denver Broncos and made the Hall of Fame in 2010. Senior committee, but still made it in the Hall of Fame. Alive too, and please wish him well. He has cancer himself. But even then, the role that really cemented him as, oh, he's a real actor, was when he played Jackie Robinson in 42. it left such a major impact on my family in particular that my younger brother, his entire room is dedicated with pictures and quotes from Jackie Robinson. And it was because of his performance. It was because of Chadwick Boseman's performance in that movie that my brother has all that stuff. It's because of him. He's the reason. Not particularly Jackie, it was Chadwick's performance, because that's how real it was. He didn't just play these people. He was these people. If they were dead, he brought them back to life. And if they were still alive, they basically showed him how they actually were. He played Thurgood Marshall, the very first African-American Supreme Court justice. He also played James Brown, one of the most famous African-American artists of the 20th century. He didn't just play minor names. He played major iconic figures to the African-American community. Just iconic figures. Trailblazers. He was one. And he let people my age cement them and just understand how significant they were to the entire American civilization. But it wasn't until 2016 when he was signed to be Black Panther, T'Challa, created by Jack Kirby and Stanley, who I should mention. Boseman died on the birthday of Jack Kirby, his Black Panther's creator and legendary comic book writer. Died the day he was born. Not to mention Jackie Robinson Day was also on August 28th. Chadwick Boseman died on August 28th. The parallels are just crazy. But it was when Black Panther came out, made over $1 billion, arguably along with Civil War and a few others, arguably the best MCU movie ever. In the collection of just great movies entirely, over 22, 23 at this point. And his movie was the one that was nominated for Best Picture. It wasn't the first Avengers movie. It wasn't the first Iron Man movie. It wasn't Civil War. It was Black Panther. It was his movie. He was T'Challa. His movie. He was the king. Wakanda Forever. Of course. It was his. And we saw how important that was to all these people. He became their superhero. Their superhero. The superhero that millions of people all across America see as one of their own. No one could take that away from them. The fact that they were able to move so much that they finally had their own that they could look up to. And theirs was the one that got nominated for Best Picture. That meant a lot to them. And it meant a lot to Boseman. And he did this all while he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. Concealed by everyone from the public. Concealed by everyone. He did not let that define him. He was not going to let that end his run. And in the peak of his life, he had it, but he made the most of it. And when he died, not only just like a day later, the post on his Twitter account that mentioned that how he is now gone is now the most liked and retweeted Twitter, the most liked and retweeted Twitter post of all time. Around 3 million more than the next one. It was a Barack Obama tweet in 2017 about Martin Luther King. Over 7 million likes. That's how important this man was. That's how meaningful this person was. That many likes and that many retweets. That many. And that much more than the second highest. That's just incredible. That is impactful. That is legendary. And that cements the wondrous joy that was the life of Chadwick Boseman. He's gone. We can never bring him back. But he was also the person that brought back Jackie Robinson. He was Jackie Robinson. He reincarnated him. He brought him back to life. He made him feel real again. He made him feel like he was one of us. You saw a real person in that. You didn't just see someone reading off the teleprompter. You didn't see him just playing someone. He was him. He was James Brown. He was Floyd Little. He was Thurgood Marshall. And he was T'Challa. Black Panther's a fictional character, but man, he made him feel so realistic. He made him just so relatable. The MCU always gets their actors right. And although it may not be right to talk about Black Panther 2, it's very hard to see who else could replace T'Challa. It is. It may not be the right question, but at the same time, it's an important one to ask for the future, because this is a guy that was also supposed to be one of the faces of the MCU going forward, along with Brie Larson and Tom Holland. They had to have known. Even though he did have it personally, they had to have known what would happen in case he was to pass. Because he knew that he didn't have much longer to live. He knew that it was a stage where he knew he was going to have that many years left on this earth. So he wanted to make the most of it. There's no way he wouldn't have. He had to have. To lose both Black Panther and Black Mamba. And not only that, the same week that Jacob Blake is shot in the back 7 times by police officers, the same week where a 17-year-old teenager, Kyle Rittenhouse, murders 2 people protesting police brutality. The same week where you see the NBA and the MLB and the NHL, WNBA, MLS, what have you, protest police violence. In the day where all the protests are happening all across the streets for the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, many years in the back, like Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, all these other names. Their superhero, the ones that we were trying to advocate equality for, their superhero was taken from us. Their superhero was taken from us while they were suffering from the deaths of innocent people at the hands of police and law enforcement. This sucks. 2020 sucks. I don't know how much 2020 is going to be much better, but this sucks. I don't know if it's really a purpose, but there's no way you can tell me that America or just life in general is safer because Chadwick Boseman's no longer with us. We lost a member of the Avengers. We lost their superhero. We lost Jackie Robinson. We lost all these people. He was those people. I'm just lamenting it still. Regardless, sports, politics, entertainment, figures, played all of them. Played figures, icons. And Chadwick Boseman, because of what he did, he became one himself. And no one will ever take that away from him, even in his passing. Rest in peace, King. Wakanda forever. Forever 42. We will always miss you. Rest easy, Chadwick. And I will never forget you.